Good evening, everyone. I'm Janice Fukakusa, Board Chair of the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation. Thank you for joining us at our virtual annual general meeting. This past year has definitely been one for the books. Today, we're here to reflect and celebrate our 2020 fiscal year, which ended March 31st of 2020. But in truth, it seems like that date was decades ago. The global pandemic has changed many things: where we work, how we fundraise, and how we get together to meet in forums such as this. But one thing that hasn't changed is our vision to conquer cancer. With our AGM being online today, we had the opportunity to invite many donors, volunteers, and supporters to join us. Our objectives are to publicly complete the necessary governance activities of an AGM, but also to inspire, engage, and inform everyone who has joined this virtual report to our community. We're so pleased that so many of you have joined. The theme this year for both our AGM and annual report is Courage to Conquer. We see so much courage each day at the Princess Margaret in our patients, our donors, our researchers, and clinicians. And we hope to share many of these stories with you today. So let's begin with a story of a patient who fully embodies the words, courage to conquer.
Hi, I am Lara Brown. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in June 2016. It was awful to find something out like that, and then I just was worried about my kids. I asked to be referred to Dr. Bedard at Princess Margaret. I knew the name, so that's where I wanted to be. It was very overwhelming, and I looked at him and I remember saying, like, if I was your mother, your wife, your daughter, your sister, your niece, like, what chemo would you put me on? Because that's the chemo I want. So I had a port, and then I started chemo on August 3rd, 2016, and then started radiation in December. After I finished radiation, I hired a coach and started training for my Ironman, but all throughout, so chemo and everything, I was kind of building my base. So 3 days after my 9th round of chemo, I actually ran a half marathon. And it was just like, all right, I could do this. And then started training in January, and then I did my first Ironman in October. So 16 months after I was diagnosed. Princess Margaret, the research they do is so important. You know that the people who work there are absolute heroes, and I don't know how they do that, in day in and day out. And so I will do anything possible to help Princess Margaret, and I don't want my kids to be told one day they have cancer, so whatever Princess Margaret needs, like, here I am, I'll help whatever.
What a fantastic video. As your board chair, I'm pleased to present a brief year-end impact summary for the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation's fiscal year ended March 31st, 2020. This past year was the first year of our 6-year strategic plan, and I'm proud to share that with the support of our incredible community of donors, we delivered exceptional financial results. The foundation had a tremendous year with total net fundraising and lottery revenue reaching $140 million. This achievement belongs to all of us, our donors, our volunteers, and our staff. But the real winners are the cancer patients at the Princess Margaret, across Canada, and around the world, who will benefit from the groundbreaking cancer research that is funded by the foundation. Our organization received over $60 million in major and estate gifts this year. This included an incredible $10 million gift from Michael McCain to expand the McCain Genitourinary Biobank. The biobank will advance internationally leading urologic cancer research by providing high-quality specimens and clinical data to researchers here in Canada and around the world. The Princess Margaret Home Lottery set a new record this year, generating $41.6 million for the highest priority needs of cancer research and awarding over 38,000 prizes to lucky winners across the province. And last but not least, our industry-leading events programs, including the Enbridge Ride to Conquer Cancer, One Walk, now called the Weekend to Conquer Cancer, and Scotiabank Road Hockey to Conquer Cancer, coupled with our community-based events, including Northern Pass, Taylor Cup, and over 140 third-party events, raised a total of $38.2 million for the Princess Margaret. In addition to delivering on our fundraising programs, our internal focus has been on elevating the fundraising capacity of our organization so we can support the acceleration of cancer research and care. This year, we completed a full review of our governance program and are developing new fundraising programs, creating more opportunities for donors to engage, and delivered critical work to update the Foundation's internal systems to position us for growth. Our strengthened expertise and fundraising goals and efforts have only one goal: to enable future care now at the Princess Margaret. Our collective work has made it possible for the Princess Margaret to become one of the top 5 cancer research centers in the world, with a reputation for clinical excellence recognized on the global stage. We are so grateful for the generous support of our board, our donors, and the Cancer Center's dedicated staff and volunteers. As your chair, I would like to offer my sincere gratitude to our board of directors and the staff of the Foundation for their leadership and ongoing commitment to the Princess Margaret. Our board has leaned in exceptionally strong this year, supporting our management team as they navigate the uncertain waters of the global pandemic. It is this team who have ensured that we are well positioned to withstand the impact of the pandemic and that we have the resilience to serve our donors and our community by continuing to fund groundbreaking cancer research into the future. Simply put, cancer did not stop because of COVID, so neither can we. And I'm proud to share that we have delivered strong results and we are well positioned to continue to do so in the years ahead. These exceptional results only happen when you have a community who steps up and demonstrates each day how we all have the courage to conquer cancer. I would now like to pass it over to our Treasurer and Chair of the Audit and Risk Committee, Annie Ropar, who will provide a brief financial update and 2 motions for our board. Annie?
Thank you, Janice. As Treasurer of the Board for the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, I'm pleased to provide a brief report on the financial health of our organization. In addition to delivering the strong financial results shared earlier by Janice, management has continued to elevate financial reporting to effectively allow the committee, on behalf of the board, to assess the performance, internal controls, and financial resiliency of the foundation. This has included regular reporting of month-end financials within 10 workdays utilizing a new financial accounting system, and the development of new planning and forecasting tools, including a detailed 2-year rolling cash flow model, which will help ensure that the foundation continues to be well-positioned to fulfill all funding commitments to the Princess Margaret. This is of utmost importance given the environment we are operating in, and I commend management for being proactive and vigilant in their financial governance processes in light of these uncertain times. In terms of demonstrating efficiency and fundraising through prudent expense management, I'm pleased to share that this year the Foundation raised $1.73 million net revenue per full-time employee, making it one of the most efficient and effective charities in Canada. Finally, given the impacts of COVID-19, this year the audit was completed virtually. This was a change both for our auditors at Ernst & Young and for our finance team. I'm pleased to share that we received very positive feedback from our auditor on the audit process with the foundation team. E&Y also delivered an unqualified opinion to the Audit and Risk Committee of the board in June of this year. As a result of these audit results, I'm pleased to bring forward the resolution to approve the 2019-2020 Auditor's Report and financial statements. So I will put forward the motion that the 2019-2020 Auditor's Report and financial statements for the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, as adopted by its Board of Directors at the June 24th, 2020 meeting and presented to the members, be approved by the members, and that the Board Chair and Chair of the Audit Risk Committee have been directed to sign the financial statements as evidence thereof. May I have somebody second the motion?
Second, Terry Baccinello.
Thank you, Terry. Anyone opposed? Thank you. On behalf of the board, I will also put forward the resolution to reappoint the auditors for our next fiscal year. The motion is that Ernst & Young LLP be appointed as auditors for the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation for the fiscal period April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021. May I have somebody second the motion?
Seconded, JF Corville.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Many thanks to our Audit and Risk Committee members for their diligent oversight of the financial affairs of the foundation. We will now share a video that demonstrates some of the incredible impacts that funds raised by our donors have on cancer research and care.
The world-leading research at the Princess Margaret is driven by our event participants, donors, volunteers, and our board members. And last year, our board member, Karen Maidmont, set a new record, raising almost $600,000 in the Enbridge Ride to Conquer Cancer, surpassing the record set by Kevin Sullivan over 10 years ago. Karen also earned the polka dot jersey. The polka dot jersey in the Tour de France exemplifies the best mountain climber in the race. And Karen certainly climbed a huge mountain by raising that much money in the ride. That money went to help seed Smart Cancer Care, led by Dr. Ali Berlin. And Dr. Ali Berlin is going to tell us more about that program right now.
Hi, I'm Ali Berlin. I'm a radiation oncologist and the medical director of the Smart Cancer Care program. Smart Cancer Care was born in the awareness that there's a safety element for the patients who need to continue their cancer care through a pandemic. Both the amount of patients that we're seeing and the complexity of patients that we're seeing is increasing exponentially. And I remember, like during COVID, as I was realizing what was happening, the director at the time, Mary, comes in the morning and says, we need to shift 25% of the visits to virtual, figure it out. It's your job. And then in the afternoon, she has a meeting, and then Mary comes again and said, did I say 25? I meant 50%. I don't think there was much thinking around it. It's like, we must do this. For the patients that still need to come to the building, and you want to have as empty building and low traffic as possible, so you can socially distance them. And then also for the providers who are in the front line to be not overwhelmed with patients coming through the door, so they can also be on a safe environment for them. I think that aligned very naturally with the vision of someone who has the altruism to devote time and some of their own personal funds. Someone of the characteristics of Karen carve out part of themselves or what they have built, and this is a person who has way more life experience, has gone through the disease journey, has gone through multiple experiences in the business world. That generates a lot of, I would say, energy and momentum to push things to the next level. And it's a privilege for us to be partnered with someone like Karen. It's a privilege for us to do what we do, and at the end of the day, to be able to focus on what brings us together, which is patient care for people who are dealing or affected with cancer.
Hi, my name is Michael Burns, President and CEO of the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation. We're privileged tonight to acknowledge two incredible leaders as part of today's annual general meeting. This past year marked the end of an era with the transition of leadership at the Princess Margaret. Our fearsome dyad of leaders, Dr. Mary Gospodarowicz, Medical Director, and Marty Escaf, Senior Vice President and Executive Lead for the Princess Margaret, transitioned out of their roles. Mary stepped down from her role as Medical Director after 15 years of exceptional leadership, and Marty Mary's partner in crime for almost a decade, transitioned to a new senior leadership role within UHN. Both of these professionals brought vision, excellence, and humanity to their roles in leading the Princess Margaret to become one of the top 5 cancer centers in the world. Both served on our board of directors during their entire leadership tenure and actively engaged with donors and event participants. On behalf of the foundation and our broad community of volunteers, donors, and supporters, we are grateful for their immense leadership. Before we introduce our next speaker, we would like to share a short video recognizing the incredible duo of Mary and Marnie.
My name is Mary Gospodarowicz, and I had the privilege of working with Marnie for over 8 years.
Hi, my name is Marnie, and I worked with Mary for 8 years.
Probably most notable contribution is to bring more focus on the patient experience and also looking after the staff. So she was the main proponent of the mindfulness program, the program that would look after the stressors and mitigation of stress that healthcare provider experienced even before COVID.
Her work in the international sphere, the number of academic partnerships that we established during Mary's tenure, as well as our consulting work, it really, those 3 items really helped create a much more global brand of Princess Margaret.
Marnie is an extremely caring person, and she's very inclusive. To the same degree about managers and directors as she is about the frontline staff, not only nurses, but patient partners, housekeeping staff, or anybody who works in the program.
I think tenacity and passion. She brings both of those to almost every conversation that you would have with Mary.
Marnie's catchphrase, it's critical. I mean, you cannot argue with anything if it's critical. So it's critical, Mary.
Certainly between Mary and I, it would be let it go. And when Disney came out with Frozen, I bought Mary a little Elsa bracelet, and that you would push the button and it would sing, let it go.
The biggest lesson I learned from Marnie is to listen more, to listen and to include everyone's voice, even if it takes a lot more time that I'm prepared to spend on listening.
Not to take yourself too seriously. So for all of Mary's success and status, that was really never of interest to her. And I really learned that from her. It's not really about you, it's about what are you creating for others.
On behalf of our entire team here, we want to thank Mary and Marnie for so many years of incredible service to our cancer center and our foundation. I can personally say that when I arrived here almost 3 years ago, I couldn't have asked for 2 better younger sisters like Mary and Marnie to help me in my new role. On behalf of a very grateful foundation and cancer center, thank you for everything that you have done to elevate the impact that Princess Margaret is having on more than 18,000 new cancer patients every year, and to really solidify our position as one of the best cancer centers in the world. Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. I'm now pleased to introduce Dr. Keith Stewart, Vice President of Cancer for the University Health Network, the Medical Director for Princess Margaret Cancer Center. Dr. Stewart joined us this past summer from the Mayo Clinic, where he served as Director of the Mayo Clinic Center for Individualized Medicine. However, he is no stranger to UHN. He was active staff at the Toronto General Hospital and Princess Margaret Cancer Center from 1992 to 2005. Born in Winnipeg, but raised in Scotland, Dr. Stewart completed his medical degree at Aberdeen University Medical School and trained in internal medicine and hematology in Glasgow, Kingston, Toronto, and Boston. Dr. Stewart has more than 25 years of sustained national funding for a laboratory research program in genomics and biology of multiple myeloma and has led numerous clinical trials of new drugs for this blood cancer. We're pleased to introduce you to Dr. Keith Stewart.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, each of you, for joining us tonight. It's really refreshing to be back in Canada and Toronto and to build on the legacy and history of one of the world's top cancer centers. Of course, I arrived back in a very difficult time during the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. I must say, though, that since coming back, I've been incredibly impressed by the dedication of the team, our doctors, our nurses, our allied health staff, our trainees, in looking after and not skipping a beat in delivering the most complex care for our cancer patients. Our Smart Cancer Care team sprang into action, and within 2 weeks of lockdown, had moved 70% of our visits to virtual, over the phone, or by video. In fact, this month, we saw more patients at Princess Margaret Hospital than we did in September of 2019. I'm delighted to meet all of you virtually and to thank you for your critical support and passion for helping our patients. I particularly want to thank Mary Gospodarovich and Marnie Escaf for their tremendous work over the past decade and for ensuring a smooth transition and making sure my arrival was successful. Last year, with your support, the Princess Margaret Foundation was able to deliver $105.8 million to support the Cancer Centre's research and clinical care. One major project that was funded with this tremendous donation was the transformation of our space, particularly the lobby as you enter Princess Margaret. When you have a chance to visit us once again, you will see has been completely transformed into a space fitting for one of the world's top cancer centers. This funding has also allowed, as you will hear in a few minutes from Dr. Aaron Schimmer, for us to continue to build our research capacity and publish groundbreaking and practice-changing articles in the top scientific and medical journals in the world. It has allowed us to hire new staff in stem cell biology, artificial intelligence, and precision medicine. And looking forward, this support will allow us to realize our vision of finding more cancers early using blood tests while they're still curable, of being one of the first cancer centers in the world to declare that we want to move beyond chemotherapy, to use deep medicine and precision medicine approaches which are less toxic and more effective for our patients. We want to also evolve our care of the patient to move it more into the home, a process which has been accelerated by the COVID pandemic. And finally, we want to look after our staff and our patients and transform their experience as they move through the cancer journey. So with your support, we can make all of these things come true. And I look forward to meeting many of you in the months and years ahead as we work together to conquer cancer in our lifetime. I'm now pleased to pass the baton to my colleague, Dr. Aaron Schimmer, Research Director for the Princess Margaret, who will take us behind the scenes to provide some insight into the work of our researchers at Princess Margaret.
I'd like to take this opportunity to give you a bit of a behind-the-scenes tour of the activities in the Cancer Research Tower and how, even despite a pandemic, we're continuing to make those groundbreaking discoveries. Welcome to one of the research labs in Princess Margaret. In fact, this is my research lab. In my lab, we're studying acute myeloid leukemia and new treatment strategies for this disease. Specifically, we're interested in targeting energy production pathways and how to selectively reduce energy production in the leukemia cell while sparing the normal cells, sort of like creating a selective power outage in the leukemia cells. So come, let's take a look at some of the lab. Of course, normally this space would be bustling and full of people, but due to COVID, we've had to change our shift and work schedules to keep everyone apart. But here, this is some of the state-of-the-art molecular and cellular technology where we're measuring levels of proteins inside a cell. These are specially designed incubators where we can grow cells in petri dishes and then manipulate those cells to understand energy production pathways and how to selectively eradicate cells. Here, you can see our tissue culture hoods. These are specially designed areas to keep the cells free of contamination, but also keep our staff safe while working with them. In our lab, many of our staff and trainees are currently working to develop new treatment strategies by understanding new pathways in the mitochondria, the energy production powerhouse of the cell. We're able to selectively target unique vulnerabilities while sparing normal cells.
What we do here at the Princess Margaret Genomics Center is support the research that's going on in the labs of all the faculty here at the Cancer Research Center. We do a large number of things, including DNA sequencing to identify, for example, genomic mutations that lead to or promote cancer.
Now, having the latest technology is really what keeps Princess Margaret at the forefront of discovery. One of the things I know you and your group are working on that's putting us at the cutting edge is something called single-cell technology. What is that in genetics?
So single-cell genomics refers to the idea of taking a complex tissue, which is composed of many different cell types, or blood, which is a mixture of many different cells, and separating them down to individual cells and analyzing the genomics of those individual cells. What we're able to see with single-cell genomics that we weren't able to see before are mutations or changes in individual cells which may be lost. Traditional genomics is somewhat like a smoothie, where you take a number of different fruits and they're all mixed together, and then you drink it, but you can sort of taste hints, but you can't identify the individual components. Single-cell genomics allows you to break out those individual fruits and analyze them independent of one another.
That's exciting, Troy. So next time you think of a fruit smoothie, I hope you're going to think of the Princess Margaret Genomics Facility. Well, that was a tour. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the inside workings of the Princess Margaret Research Tower. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for all of your support. I'd like to thank our great foundation staff and leadership, and most importantly, all of our volunteers and supporters of the Princess Margaret.
Well, what an inspiring video, and thanks to Keith, to Aaron, and to all of the people who do so much to help people conquer cancer and continue to keep us on our path for that vision. Hi, everyone. My name is Duncan Sinclair, and I am proud to serve as the chair of the Governance Committee for the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation. Last year, our Governance Committee worked with our board and management to execute a full governance review of the foundation. The objective of this work was to modernize and elevate the governance practices of our foundation and ensure our board was fit for purpose for the next stage of growth and impact of your foundation. I am pleased to report that the foundation possesses a robust governance program, one that is consensus-oriented, accountable, transparent, and committed to broadening the diversity of skills, experiences, and individuals governing the foundation. Now, my first task tonight is to recognize our outgoing directors. And today we acknowledge 8 directors who together have contributed over 50 years of service to the foundation in their roles as members of the board. They are truly outstanding members of our community, and they have done an outstanding job in supporting the foundation and its governance. And so great thanks to David Engel, Arnie Escaf, Dr. Mary Gospodarowicz, Andrew Hoffman, Andrew Irvin, Bill Richardson, David Shaw, and Michael Ward. On behalf of the board and foundation, I want to express our sincere appreciation for the outstanding leadership, unyielding commitment, and dedication as a board director and volunteer. Thank you. Thanks to each of you. Our foundation is stronger because of your contributions and commitment to our shared cause. We'll now move to the election of directors. The Governance Committee and our board recommends to the members the appointment of 19 individuals who have agreed to stand for re-election to our board for a term of 1 year. I will now put forward the following motion. Be it resolved, the members are re-elected the following directors of the corporation for a 1-year term to September of 2021. I will make that motion and I will ask for a seconder.
Seconded, Candace Innes.
Thank you, Candace. Does anyone object? Thank you very much. I would now like to put forward the opportunity to welcome 6 new directors to our board, joining our organization for a term of 3 years. We're introducing new board terms as recommended through our governance review, and we'll begin to phase in this recommendation with our new directors over the coming years. And so with this, let's welcome to our board Bob Dorrance, who's President and CEO of TD Securities, Mary Filippelli, a Corporate Director and Vice Chair of Deloitte, Judith Irving, a philanthropist, Helen Malavi-Hicks, Partner and Global Valuations Leader for PwC Canada, Humza Tarani, Chief Technology and Digital Officer for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, and Donna Young, Dean of the Faculty of Law of Ryerson University. And with that, I would like to make the following motion. We'll move that the following individuals be elected as directors for a 3-year term, commencing now until September of 2023. Can I have a seconder for the motion, please?
Seconding, Christina Kramer.
Thank you. Does anyone object to the motion? Thank you so much. And now, last but not least, I put forward the resolution for the election of officers. We have officers of Janice Fukakusa, Chair, Richard Rooney, Vice Chair, Annie Roper, Treasurer, and Michael Burns, Secretary. Can I will make the motion. Can I have a seconder, please?
Seconded, Harry Goldgut.
Thank you, Harry. Does anyone object? Well, thank you very much, and I look forward to working with all of you on the board going forward, and thanks to all of the members for their time and attention.
I want to begin by thanking all of our board members, volunteers, donors, and my incredible colleagues for delivering the most successful year in our foundation's history. This is despite being hit by COVID-19 near the end of our fiscal year. Along with past boards and administrations, you have all played a vital role to ensure that we are a resilient foundation at a time when many other organizations are not as fortunate. Before we look ahead, I want to take you back more than 2 years ago when we began developing our new strategic plan. Before we could answer the what and how, we needed to answer the most important question, which is why. We landed on future care now. Whether you're a patient, researcher, clinician, or donor, future care now is about the role we all play in delivering the very best cancer care available today while accelerating research and discovery so that we can benefit today's patients with tomorrow's breakthroughs. Future Care Now became the seed for our strategic plan. And while there are a lot of things we want to accomplish, we did identify 3 core objectives. The first, build Canada's most respected charitable foundation where people want to give, work, and volunteer. The second is to strengthen the impact of donor funds in the fight against cancer at the Princess Margaret and beyond. And third, develop and launch the largest healthcare campaign in Canadian history to enable future care now. Following our why, our team also worked on defining our foundation's values. We landed on 3: the courage to serve, the courage to grow, and the courage to disrupt. Courage was a particularly appropriate word because this foundation has always had the courage at its core. 25 years ago, the foundation's board and management had the courage to launch our home lottery. It is now recognized as the world's largest charitable lottery. This year, it will net us close to $50 million. We were the first foundation in Canada to have the courage to introduce peer-to-peer fundraising with our Ride, Walk, and Journey. And we had the courage to launch and complete our $1 billion campaign, the largest at the time in Canadian healthcare history. Courage continues to be on full display today. When COVID hit, our team did not retreat. Instead, we innovated, evolved, and advocated for our sector. As Janice said, cancer wasn't slowing down for COVID, and neither were we. We helped to secure $500 million from the federal government to help research institutes across the country, including our own, to reopen during the pandemic. With the support of Michael McCain, we helped rally hospital foundations across the country and raise more than $12 million to support more than 140 hospitals with their COVID response. And we were able to pivot some of the biggest events in the country, our ride, walk, and journey, into virtual events. And despite the pandemic, we continue to hire bright new talent and launch new programs, including entering into the e-gaming space with Quest to Conquer. Of course, courage doesn't just reside at the foundation. Courage is also what has made our cancer center so impactful. From doctors Tilla McCullough discovering the stem cell in 1961, to present-day scientists like Daniel DiCarvello, who developed a blood test to detect and classify cancer. This is a track record that stacks up against any other cancer research institute in the world. While many Canadians think of Princess Margaret as a downtown Toronto cancer center, our global network of impact is extremely broad. We are on every continent except for Antarctica, with more than 500 research, academic, and capacity building partnerships. We have trained more than 1,000 fellows from all over the world who return back to their countries to lead cancer programs there. Our work is positively affecting lives here in Toronto, across Canada, and around the world. As we look ahead to next year, we will continue to innovate, evolve, and fundraise to support the Princess Margaret. We have a world-class team, outstanding supporters, and a very strong balance sheet that gives us the resilience we need at a time like this. We are not slowing down. We will continue to build our next case for support and prepare to launch the largest healthcare campaign in Canadian history. We will also continue to work with partners across the country and beyond to help raise greater awareness and support for cancer research. I talked earlier about our organization's why. Well, so many of us here tonight have our own personal why. In my case, it's Mary Burns, my mother, who passed away from pancreatic cancer last December. My siblings and I were there when she received the diagnosis on Thanksgiving weekend. Given my job, I know a little bit more than the average person, so I knew what it likely meant. For the next 3 months, we witnessed our mother's steady decline, her eventual inability to do the simplest of tasks, and we witnessed her struggle to live in the face of death. We saw her tremendous courage. During that time, we also saw the very best of Princess Margaret, the extraordinary researchers and clinicians, the talented surgical staff, and of course, the comfort and empathy delivered by the nurses at my mom's bedside. This is my why. My mom is my why. Why I do what I do and what our team does every day, not just for my own family, but for yours as well. Because everyone here likely has a similar cancer story, your own or that of a loved one. And like me, you probably get angry sometimes. You want to end cancer. That was certainly my feeling last December. But while cancer remains the #1 killer of Canadians, we need courage. The courage to dig deep, to discover what we can each do to help eradicate this terrible disease. It isn't easy. It will never be easy. But especially now, in the middle of a global pandemic, COVID-19 has decimated the charitable sector. But we are a resilient foundation, one that has been well-positioned thanks to the wisdom of our directors, the generosity of our donors, and the talent of our staff members. We are courageous, and we will not retreat. We will not make excuses. We will not settle for anything less than to conquer cancer in our lifetime. The Princess Margaret is a beacon of hope for so many people. It certainly was for our family, and I know for yours. Since the 1950s, we have been one of the country's greatest institutions. Our impact and influence are global. As an institution, our slogan is to conquer cancer in our lifetime. But it's more than a slogan. Some of my colleagues see it as an aspiration. Others see it as motivation. I see it as a pledge that I know we are capable of achieving, and I know how much it matters. People are counting on us, the people we love today, the people closest to us, and the generations to come, and we are not going to fail them. In Canada, we are on the cusp of leading the world in cancer care and research. We are doing the hard work, making the breakthroughs that will result in answers, the answers that will change the world. And one day, I know that will be our legacy for our country, for our loved ones, and for ourselves. That's my why, and I hope it's yours as well. Together, we can fulfill this pledge. We have the talent and we have your help. We have the resources, and together we have the courage to conquer cancer. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for your very impactful remarks and very heartfelt remarks. Listening to you and your history of the foundation and the role that each of us play, you've given us again and reminded us that we too all have the courage to conquer cancer. So thank you very much for that for today. And that brings us to the end of our annual general meeting. This year has presented challenges that none of us anticipated, but the funds raised by our programs will move us forward as we write this new chapter in cancer history. But cancer has not stopped because of COVID, and neither can we. We'd like to thank our donors, volunteers, and community members for their dedication, generosity, and support. Together, we must remain fearless in our courage to conquer cancer. I motion to close the meeting. Thank you for joining us.